Rumors continue to escalate for the Obamas. Hopefully they can settle it like men.
It's amazing. Every word she says about Barack Obama is negative. I can't think of her sitting there just waxing poetic about him, complimenting, he's brilliant, he's a great dad, he was the greatest president, whatever a normal wife of Barack Obama would say. Every time she opines, it's something that reflects poorly on him, how he's insensitive, how he's not a talker, how he doesn't know how to relate to people, he doesn't keep the same schedule as she does, and now we're talking about you can have a bad decade in a marriage?
Michelle Obama walked in like a TED Talk, but Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly turned it into a roast battle she did not sign up for. What started as a speech ended in a verbal BBQ. Michelle's legacy got grilled medium rare. Gutfeld swung with sarcasm. Megyn dropped truth bombs like party favors, and somewhere, Barack quietly logged off. If you thought the Obamas were untouchable, think again. This takedown is spicier than Michelle's lunch program was bland. Let's get messy.
I think that transitioning line was meant to get attention because her podcast is failing. No one wants to watch it, and she's not used to that. You know, she's used to being the center of attention. Everyone's interested in me. I don't have to try hard. And so now she's embarrassed. And so I think she's intentionally dropping these little, nuggets in these podcasts just so she can get pickup and talking here and there about her marriage because she knows that she'll get pickup if she talks about him. It's kind of like Meghan and Harry, where it's like the man is the star and the woman is kind of the glamour. She's like the also-ran. Like we're interested in her to the extent she's going to tell us about him. And she knows that, so she's working it. But she can't hide her general morose nature.
Michelle Obama, the woman who managed to turn school lunch into a national trauma and broccoli into a hate crime. You'd think after 8 years of trying to make kale sexy, she'd retire peacefully into her multi-million-dollar mansion to reflect on a career full of motivational one-liners and quinoa. But nope, she's back. Louder, smugger, and somehow more allergic to self-awareness than ever. And that's where Greg Gutfeld and Megyn Kelly come in like a sarcasm-powered wrecking ball.
Obama. I do still worry about my daughters in the world, even though they are somewhat recognizable.
And then she goes, and then you're like, why? What's going to happen to her girls if they're not recognizable? And she goes on a diatribe about the arrests that we're making of illegal immigrants. And that now we all have to live in fear, people of color, because it's a racist Republican Party that's running America now, that people of color, I guess, have to live in fear because we're all a bunch of racists who made her a billionaire and elected her husband president twice. But we're so racist, you see, we could just grab any random person of color in the street and send them off to El Salvador.
Because really, how long did we think Michelle could coast on the reputation of being America's relatable first lady while living in more square footage than most public libraries? She went from when they go low, we go high to when they disagree, call them racist, and publish a memoir. And not just one memoir, multiple. Each one more polished than a Whole Foods apple and packed with enough humble brags to make LinkedIn users blush.
Is it, Michelle? It's not. I've been married for 17 and a half years, and not one was bad. I think she and he married the wrong people.
I think you're 100% right. This is only her third episode. I can't think of anybody I would go to for advice less than Michelle Obama. She really doesn't know what she's talking about. First of all, she loves to tell us she hated Barack for a good decade.
Yes.
Okay, please teach me how to have a successful relationship with someone that you clearly respect and admire. Every time she's on the air, it's like, I'm dragging this ball of dead weight behind me. His name, Barack Obama. He's bringing me down. I'm trying to elevate myself with like these things on my head.
He looks like Mickey Mouse.
It's so
like
weird.
The two ears up there, these two big balls on the left and the right of her head.
Like, what kind of midlife crisis is she in the throes of right?
But here's the thing. Gutfeld and Kelly didn't even have to dig deep. They just had to point at the perfectly curated PR machine that tried to convince America Michelle was oppressed while simultaneously doing the global book tour version of a victory lap. Michelle has somehow become the spiritual guru for upper middle class guilt, giving lectures on hardship while wearing outfits that cost more than the average family's yearly grocery budget. And people clapped. They clapped like she cured disease. She didn't. She just made arugula sound like a human rights issue.
Michelle Obama surprised fans on our new podcast by saying her pet peeve about her husband is that he's chronically late. For example, we're still waiting on him to admit he's from Kenya. And as for Barack's pet peeve about Michelle, he's mad that she keeps leaving the toilet seat up. When she cleans it. When she cleans it.
I regret that.
Whoopi Goldberg attended the...
Let's talk about the infamous school lunch agenda. Ah, yes, the noble quest to turn lunch into a punishment. Michelle decided that what American kids really needed wasn't better education, safer schools, or less testing. It was sad little trays of wilted spinach and mystery hummus, because nothing builds character like sobbing over soggy zucchini in a fluorescent-lit cafeteria. Students rebelled like it was the food apocalypse. Taco Tuesday turned into a quinoa coup. Chicken nuggets, outside, kale patties, in, and the kids, they started smuggling salt like it was contraband. Somewhere, black market ranch dressing dealers made a fortune. And the pièce de résistance? Michelle blamed the kids for not appreciating her healthy vision. Imagine declaring war on childhood joy and then acting shocked when no one wants to eat your steamed cardboard surprise. Michelle's plan didn't make kids healthier. It made them craftier. They learned how to barter carrots for contraband Cheetos and memorized which vending machines weren't patrolled by the lunch police.
She's angry. She's angry and unhappy. I've watched enough of her over the years, and then with this ridiculous podcast she's trying to launch, to see she's a deeply unhappy person.
What's happening with people at that level in podcasts? What's Gavin Newsom doing?
He's running for president. That one makes more sense to me strategically. She's like, she should be in her therapist's office. Her brother Craig is not. Oh, he did?
Yeah, what do you think I should do?
I don't support it.
Yeah?
Well, my feeling is Gavin Newsom is using people to build up his skills so that he can more effectively debate the Republican nominee.
Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld, king of sarcasm and late-night roast master, just looked at this whole saga and laughed like it was an over-budget Netflix documentary about salad trauma. Because that's what it was. Gutfeld didn't need a think tank to know Michelle's health crusade was just a rebranded PR strategy wrapped in kale leaves. He didn't just call it out, he nuked it from orbit, one smug speech clip at a time. And Megyn Kelly? Oh, she took it personal. Megyn is the type of woman who looks at hypocrisy and treats it like a 5-course meal. She didn't even blink before shredding the illusion of Michelle's sacred persona. Because let's be honest, the Michelle myth runs deep. She's always painted as down-to-earth. The cool mom in the White House, the one who dances with Ellen and hugs Beyonce. But under the surface, it's all brand management and curated relatability. She's not your friend. She's the friend who sells you a $30 candle called empowerment and calls it activism. Michelle Obama has become the political equivalent of an Instagram influencer who gives lectures on minimalism from inside a gold-plated bathroom. The irony is so thick, you could butter toast with it. She'll tell you to believe in yourself, chase your dreams, and also buy her $40,000 speaking tour tickets if you want to hear more. Because nothing says relatable like charging more for inspiration than most Americans make in a month.
Michelle thinks American men suck.
Let me warn you, your rage does not exist in a vacuum. If we don't get this election right, your wife, your daughter, your mother, we as women will become collateral damage to your rage. To the women listening, we have every right to demand that the men in our lives do better by us. We have to use our voices to make these choices clear to the men that we love. Our lives are worth more than their anger and disappointment.
What's that pitter-patter sound I'm hearing in the background? It's the footsteps of Barack running to vote for Trump.
And let's not forget her deep thoughts on gender, race, and equality, all delivered from the most exclusive circles on Earth. Michelle has a habit of describing her life like she's clawed her way out of a Dickens novel, despite the fact that her struggle included elite universities, powerful mentors, and a fast track into high society. And we're supposed to weep into our Whole30 smoothies because she once felt invisible while wearing designer clothes on national television. Megyn Kelly clapped back with surgical precision. She pointed out what everyone else was too scared to say, that Michelle weaponized her identity for political and financial gain, all while pretending she was above politics. Michelle doesn't do politics, remember? She just writes books, gives nonpartisan speeches, and coincidentally supports every left-wing cause with the passion of a Twitter mob on espresso. Gutfeld, meanwhile, treated Michelle's faux humility like a piñata full of contradictions.
To me, why doesn't anyone think about what happened to me during my I'm enraged. I'm almost speechless at how ridiculously out of touch this person is, Glenn.
She's constantly shocked that people don't see her as just a normal mom, despite the fact that she hasn't been normal since the first time her kids called a Secret Service agent Uncle Mike. Her complaints about being judged would carry more weight if they weren't delivered from a custom stage with professional lighting and a standing ovation. It's the ultimate paradox. Michelle Obama has built an empire out of victimhood while bathing in praise and privilege. She's the only person who can call herself marginalized while being ushered onto private jets with a team of stylists and a publishing deal thicker than the Constitution. And somehow, if you dare to question it, you're the problem. Let's not forget how she turns every interview into a therapy session about how misunderstood she is. Michelle could be on a yacht in the Mediterranean sipping organic lavender water and still manage to say, "It hasn't been easy." Not easy? Girl, you had an 8-year internship in the White House and parlayed it into global celebrity.
Even if they run Michelle. According to a new poll, Michelle Obama isn't as strong a Democratic candidate against former President Donald Trump as many Dems would have you believe. In a hypothetical matchup, my favorite kind, Trump wins with 47% of the vote compared to Michelle Obama's 44%. I guess some of the kids whose school lunches she ruined are finally old enough to vote. Remember that? And
at this point, the only struggle in your life is picking which mansion to nap in. Megyn and Greg both knew this game. They've seen it 1,000 times. The transformation of a public figure into a self-help prophet, monetizing empowerment like it's a boutique skincare line. They knew Michelle wasn't selling solutions. She was selling Michelle trademark. And business is booming. She's not leading revolutions. She's booking venues. She used to talk about lifting others up. These days, she lifts ticket prices, brand equity, and expectations of how many monologues a person can deliver while pretending they hate the spotlight. But trust Michelle to say she doesn't want attention while simultaneously filming a Netflix special called Becoming, as if the journey from Harvard to the Hamptons was some sort of spiritual pilgrimage.
At all.
It reads
same photo.
bloodlessly.
They both posted the exact same photo. So clearly staffers put all of this together.
Okay, and also, can we ask the lawyer in you to parse these statements? Because, okay, let's take Barack, for example. You still take my breath away. How?
Right.
With your fucking anger? With your complete inability to just get with the program and show up?
At the inauguration, so I have to walk in like a lonely soldier?
Exactly. And then tell people you're mad because I was laughing with Donald Trump?
Right.
Maybe you're taking my breath away for that reason.
And oh, the dramatics. Michelle loves to talk about being silenced, while on every major platform known to mankind. It's like a fire hydrant complaining it's thirsty. She's got book deals, podcasts, TV appearances, magazine covers, and still finds time to whisper, "They don't want me to speak." Ma'am, the only thing stopping your voice is the Wi-Fi lag. Gutfeld dragged this nonsense for what it was, performance art. He pointed out the obvious. Michelle isn't a voice of the people. She's a very expensive echo of elite ideology. And Megyn? She rolled her eyes so hard they entered another tax bracket. Because let's face it, Michelle's entire brand is built on rewriting her past to make it sound more tragic and her present to sound more noble.
Publicly, which leads me to Michelle Obama. Every day she's dropped another negativity bomb on us, whether on her podcast or on someone else's. I mean, this audience knows she never says anything positive. It is all complaints. So she goes on another podcast. She's promoting her show, so she's making the rounds. The Diary of a CEO podcast, and actually found a way to bitch and moan about how hard it is to live in the White House.
When you walk through a storm, keep your head held high. Show me. What
Watch
does this
it.
look like?
It's projecting that if you win, which I thought he could and should, he would be somebody that I would want as my president. It was all about, this is going to, our kids are little. We're going to have to move. How do you raise kids in the White House?
Meanwhile, the real legacy of Michelle's glorious lunch reform, a battlefield of limp lettuce, untouched tofu, and kids developing PTSD every time they pass a salad bar. Cafeterias became war zones where pizza was replaced with quinoa patties that looked and tasted like compressed sadness. Children weren't learning about nutrition. They were learning how to barter apple slices for black market Doritos. Somewhere, elementary school kids were forming underground food cartels to smuggle in contraband ketchup. But hey, who needs edible meals when you've got lectures on values from someone who monetized virtue like it was a fragrance line? Michelle didn't just serve the country, she served herself a brand extension. Public service? Nah, it was a launch pad for Michelle Inc., complete with inspirational merch, sold-out speaking gigs, and a podcast that sounds like an audiobook recorded in a yoga retreat.
The truth is, if you add it all up, even the year, if the odds were you're going to be married to your partner for 50 years and 10 of those years could be bad, you'd
sign up for it.
You'd sign up for it.
You'd sign up for it.
Right. And that's really how it works out.
Is it, Michelle? It's not. I've been married for 17 and a half years, and not one was bad. I think she and he married the wrong people.
She turned hope and change into like and subscribe. Now she floats above us all on a luxury cloud powered by compliments and cruelty-free skincare, offering sermons on empathy from her second infinity pool. She's not just a role model, she's a motivational screensaver in human form. And her biggest achievement, turning steamed spinach into a national punchline. She says she wants to empower young people, but only if they buy the book, follow the podcast, and attend the stadium tour first. She says she's for the people, but somehow the people always end up being coastal elites with a podcast and a trust fund, and don't even start on the fashion praise. Every time Michelle wears something with sleeves, the media loses its mind. Iconic. Revolutionary. No, it's just a dress. You don't have to act like she reinvented the wheel every time she steps outside. And if she wears something not flattering, silence. Because no one wants to admit the Queen of Grace might occasionally look like she lost a fight with a tablecloth. Gutfeld and Kelly didn't destroy Michelle with conspiracies or venom. They didn't need to. They simply handed her a mirror and let the contradictions do the heavy lifting. Michelle's persona is like a Pinterest board of empowerment quotes stapled onto a luxury lifestyle. Very pretty, very curated, and completely disconnected from the reality she claims to represent. She's the only person who can describe a multi-million-dollar Netflix deal as part of the journey, while sipping artisanal tea flown in from a mountain no one's allowed to climb. They didn't shout her down, they just used her own script with better punchlines. While she's out here turning every interview into an emotional TEDx monologue sponsored by designer shoes, Gutfeld and Kelly reminded us that being inspiring doesn't come with diplomatic immunity from being roasted. Especially not when your biggest struggle is deciding between oceanfront or mountaintop for your third home office. Michelle isn't the voice of the voiceless, she's the ringtone of the elite. Every time she does that breathy, let me get real with you routine, it's not soul-bearing. It's a soft launch for her next multi-platform brand synergy opportunity. Vulnerability? Please. If vulnerability were real, it wouldn't come with a 12-camera crew and a signature Spotify jingle. She's not selling struggle. She's selling struggle-flavored content, and like all flavors with no substance, eventually people start to gag. Gutfeld and Kelly didn't just call her out. They pulled back the curtain on the motivational theater and reminded us all that sometimes the emperor isn't naked. She's just overdressed for relatability. And let's be honest, when your entire hardship story has a better publicist than most indie films, you're not a hero. You're a lifestyle brand with a tragic backstory budget.